What happens when an unstoppable force meets the laws of physics? That's the question we're asking today as we tear into the most jaw-dropping battles of Kratos from God of War, with a scientific lens. From ripping titans apart to clashing with gods, Kratos' fights aren't just cinematic. They flirt with physical plausibility in ways that'll blow your mind. So, if you're into myth meeting muscle and chaos colliding with conservation of energy, hit that like button and subscribe. We're diving deep into what happens when Newtonian physics gets angry. And to begin, we look at how Kratos teaches an ancient sea monster a brutal lesson in applied biomechanics. Early in Kratos' story, he faces the Hydra, a multi-headed leviathan straight out of Greek myth, each head large enough to swallow a grown man whole. In terms of scale, a creature like this could easily stretch over 100 feet long and weigh upwards of 50 tons, about the weight of a fully loaded semi-truck. Each of its necks acts like a serpentine battling ram, slamming down with force that could crush reinforced steel. But this isn't just a fantasy brawl. Kratos' moves here mirror real-world physics and predator behavior. The fight demands constant motion and environmental awareness. Think of it like parkour meets professional wrestling, with lethal stakes. When Kratos pins one of Hydra's heads to the mast of the ship, it's not random, it's leverage at work. That mast, made to resist tons of pressure from raging sea storms, becomes a makeshift vice grip. The Hydra's own neck, a biomechanical whip, turns into a liability when wrapped around a fixed point. This moment embodies the principle of mechanical advantage. Instead of brute forcing the Hydra into submission, Kratos uses the ship's architecture as a massive lever system. The longer the neck, the more torque is applied at the base. The thrashing adds kinetic strain, amplifying the tension until bone and muscle can't hold. This is the same physics used in animal traps or industrial cranes. Turn the target's mass and momentum against itself. The Hydra regenerates, which, in biology, would require an absurdly high metabolic rate, like a starfish crossed with a crocodile on steroids. Kratos disables the heads one by one, turning the Hydra into a jigsaw puzzle of vulnerabilities. This encounter isn't just visual spectacle, it's a masterclass in anatomical exploitation. It teaches players early on that Kratos doesn't win because he's strong. He wins because he understands how to turn strength into strategy. And this fight sets the tone. Massive threat, overwhelming odds, and a thinking warrior who knows how to break a beast down. But if you think decapitating a Hydra is wild, just wait until he brings down the god of the sea himself. God of War 3 doesn't waste time. Within minutes, you're punching Poseidon in the face while surfing a titan. Yes, really. Poseidon's avatar is a towering beast composed of water and equine forms, a living tsunami in humanoid shape. Let's put some numbers here. An average wave packs about 1,700 pounds of force per square meter. Poseidon, with his tidal limbs, probably delivers impacts exceeding several hundred tons of pressure. His attacks feel like being hit by a collapsing building, if that building was also moving and regenerating. Kratos' blades of chaos act like ultra-dense, high-velocity wrecking tools. In the real world, a sword strike at full speed might deliver 1,000 to 2,000 newtons of force. Kratos' hits, factoring in divine strength, could easily multiply that by a factor of 50 or more. We're talking bulldozer-level impacts compressed into a man-sized package. The fight unfolds on Gaia, whose shifting body turns the arena into a moving platform puzzle from hell. This isn't just for dramatic flair. Fighting on an unstable structure means constantly adapting your center of gravity. Kratos effectively performs high-speed combat gymnastics on a terrain equivalent to an earthquake zone. And then comes the infamous finish. Kratos shatters Poseidon's divine vessel, plunges through its chest, and reaches the god's core. From Poseidon's POV, we see Kratos gouge out his eyes, a moment that has become burned into the franchise's identity. Here's the thing, a god's skull isn't supposed to break, but Kratos punches through celestial bone, as if it were dried clay. Considering Poseidon's divine status, we'd be looking at bone density far beyond that of a human, maybe similar to ultra-dense ceramics or titanium alloy. Yet Kratos rips through it like it's meat on a bone. It's more than just anger. It's biomechanics fueled by god-killer strength and pinpoint accuracy. This battle redefines scale and consequence. It's not enough to kill a god. You have to disassemble him, cell by cell. But what if the enemy isn't just a force of nature, but the nature itself? Now imagine fighting something so big, your entire battlefield is his body. That's the reality in the fight against Cronos, the Titan who's not just an opponent, but a walking monument. Cronos could easily be over 1,500 feet tall, taller than the Empire State Building. His weight? We're talking in the range of 300,000 tons. That's 3 times the mass of the Eiffel Tower. The square cube law kicks in hard here. As size increases, mass grows faster than strength. That's why Cronos is slow. Every step he takes could shatter bedrock beneath his feet, comparable to a meteor impact in a localized force. But that also means every swipe and grab is delayed by physics. Kratos turns this to his advantage. When Cronos grabs and swallows Kratos, the battle shifts from external to internal. Kratos fights from inside Cronos' stomach, cleaving through the tissue thicker than concrete walls. It's like performing open-heart surgery with a chainsaw while the patient tries to crush you. Even with regenerative flesh, internal trauma of that scale, tearing through nerves, organs, tendons, causes a systematic failure. Kratos targets fingernails the size of buses, slicing through keratin plates like they're brittle stone. Under magnified stress, even hardened material fractures. It's the same principle engineers fear in bridge design: material fatigue from small, repeated stresses that cause catastrophic breaks. The environment constantly betrays Cronos. His own attempts to dislodge Kratos create seismic aftershocks that disorient him and open up new vulnerabilities. Every thunderous movement backfires, destabilizing the Titan's own structure, like a skyscraper toppling under its own weight. This isn't just a boss fight. It's a war of physics versus biology. And Kratos, with every step and swing, turns a living colossus into a crumbling ruin. But what happens when the enemy isn't big, but equally brutal? When Kratos meets Thor in God of War Ragnarok, it isn't just a boss fight. It's Newton's third law written in blood and lightning. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, and when 2 god-tier forces crash, that equation doesn't just balance, it detonates. Thor enters not like a man, but a storm wrapped in muscle and fury. His size alone, easily topping 7 feet, with a mass that could sit around 400 pounds of pure muscle, makes him a biomechanical nightmare. Every step sends subtle tremors through the earth. Every breath is like the snort of a charging bull before impact. But his true terror lies in what he carries: Mjolnir, a name etched into the bones of Norse mythology and Marvel Comics alike. But in Ragnarok, it's more than a weapon. It's a controlled implosion of kinetic energy. The hammer isn't just heavy, it's fast. It weighs even just 100 pounds, a conservative estimate for something forged by dwarves and powered by godhood. And Thor swings it at 150 miles per hour. We're talking over 20,000 joules of energy with every single blow. That's like being hit by a speeding motorcycle, focused into a dinner plate-sized point of action. Then there's Kratos, armed with the Leviathan axe, a weapon that's not just magical, but mechanically brilliant. Designed with a weighted head and a balance built for rotational torque, it's the kind of axe that delivers both cleaving power and precise control. It's less about smashing and more about directing force. And when Kratos hurls it, we're talking angular momentum and trajectory curve with deadly elegance. The physics of their weapon collisions is brutal and beautiful. Every clash discharges energy like a defibrillator. Lightning doesn't just flash for show, it's plausible. A single lightning bolt contains up to 1 billion joules of energy, and every time Mjolnir meets the axe midair, It feels like a miniature electrical storm. You're watching two conductors of myth, channeling raw elemental forces. Thor fights with reckless domination. He's the brawler who believes pain is proof of progress. Kratos, on the other hand, is surgical. He measures space, times momentum, exploits openings. In boxing terms, Thor's the heavyweight with knockout power in both fists, while Kratos fights like a veteran middleweight, reading, baiting, countering. When Thor slams Kratos through solid rock, the impact force could exceed 100,000 newtons, enough to reduce bone to dust and organs to jelly. Yet Kratos gets up, over and over, not because he's unbreakable, but because he's been broken before and learned how to reassemble himself through sheer will. And then comes the most mind-bending moment in the franchise. Thor revives Kratos mid-battle, not out of mercy, but pride. Thor doesn't want to win. He wants a demonstration to prove, in front of the 9 realms and himself, that he is undisputed. This is where the fight leaves the realm of brute physics and enters psychological warfare. Kratos rises, not reborn, but reignited. From that moment on, every move becomes personal, every parry a refusal. Let's not forget their powers. Thor's lightning isn't just aesthetic, it's a nerve weapon. Real-world lightning strikes can cause neural overload, cardiac arrest, and severe burns. If Thor's lightning has even a fraction of that voltage, every shock should be a system shutdown. But Kratos, built like a walking capacitor, shrugs it off with the kind of endurance that makes you wonder what his cells are made of. Vibranium? No, just pure, hardened trauma and adaptation. On the other side, Kratos' frost power from the Leviathan axe could slow molecular motion. In real terms, absolute zero, the theoretical temperature where atoms stop moving, is minus 459.67 degrees Fahrenheit. While Leviathan doesn't hit that low, it's clearly near cryogenic, freezing limbs mid-motion, slowing electrical signals in nerves, causing brittleness in armor and flesh. It's not just magic, it's thermodynamics turned hostile. One believes in overwhelming force, the other believes in strategic survival. And it's not clean. There's no triumphant slow-motion finale, no signature finisher. What we get is fatigue, blood, breathing, a pause, 2 warriors too exhausted to even boast. If you felt your pulse spiking during the scene, that's no accident. It's a masterclass in combining game design, character writing, and physics-based spectacle into one unforgettable moment. This fight isn't just about gods. It's about what happens when trauma, pride, and purpose are given fists. From the Hydra's anatomy to Cronos' impossible mass, from divine destruction to elemental duels, Kratos' battles don't just entertain. They challenge the boundaries of what the human, or godly body, can endure. Every punch, every slam, every calculated strike lives at the crossroads of physics, biology, and myth. These fights resonate not because they're fantasy, but because they echo real-world forces we know and fear. Pressure, leverage, impact, fatigue. That's what makes them unforgettable. So, what's the most brutal fight in your eyes? And which one do you want us to dissect next? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more science-infused breakdowns of your favorite boss battles.